Okay, all right. Let's go on this journey together. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeremy. I work at 9 News here in Denver, Colorado. I work in the investigative unit, and I figured I'd make this video to share with you how I uncovered some fraud involving $2.3 million of your tax money. This is money that was supposed to go to businesses during the pandemic. A few weeks ago, I was doing something that a lot of you, will find very boring. I was scrolling through government databases. I know that sounds really boring, but I promise you this gets interesting. As I was scrolling, I found this pattern, and this is where our journey begins. I found 33 businesses that no longer exist in Colorado somehow were approved for this $2.3 million in COVID funds. And get this, all of these businesses, all of them traced to one single Denver office address here in the city. So what is going on here? Let me show you how I did it and what I found. So it starts with this massive database from the Small Business Administration. These databases, this massive database, there's several of them, but they're big. They contain every single business across the country that got COVID relief dollars. This is money that is supposed to help small businesses make payroll to, pay employees. These databases contain, business names, the address of the business, how much they were approved for, the number of employees. It's loads of data, millions and millions and millions of lines. Yes, okay. By this point, you get it. So I had our data wizard here. His name is Zach Newman here at 9 News, whittle this database down to just Colorado-based businesses. And so he creates this smaller database, but it's still big. And I'm scrolling, and all of a sudden I see this pattern, and I see this address that just kept popping up. 9101 East Kenyon, 9101 East Kenyon, 9101 East Kenyon. When I looked closer, I could see it was connecting to the suite number there at that address, suite 3600. I told Zach, I said, listen, let's whittle this database down even further. And what I want you to do is take that address and find what other businesses are connected to that address in this COVID relief data and see what we get. So he extrapolates that, I love that word, and we get what we're looking for. We get 33 entities. And when I was looking at this, I was like, you know what, maybe this is just some sort of accountant or an attorney working on an office and representing businesses and just, doing paperwork. I almost let this go. But I said, I'm going to keep looking at this. So I looked up the business licenses for these entities, and they all had the name Gregory Folk, a guy who was actually an accountant here in Colorado at one point. His license actually expired back in 2015. He was a licensed CPA. So when I found this guy he was an accountant, I was like, oh, okay, this is nothing. This guy is just doing paperwork, whatever. I'm about to move on. I was like, you know what? Let's keep looking. So what I did was I took a deeper look at the business license history. You can do that online. It's pretty easy. And I found that these are entities that were essentially zombie businesses. They were old businesses that were shut down years ago. They're defunct. Their licenses expired years ago. And these licenses were revived on paper. And days after they were revived on paper and they were renewed on paper, the COVID relief money was approved. Some of these businesses were a dog training company back in the day, and even a VHS rental store. But someone using Greg Folk's name, or maybe Greg Folk himself, took these old licenses, revived them on paper, and then changed the name, and then right after that, the money was approved. So I reached out to the former owner of that dog training company tied up in this, and he was quite surprised. Here's what he said. I can see on this paper here that it was revived in July of 2020, July 26, 2020. And all of a sudden, not you did, but it was whoever used this business license, they got a $74,000 loan. And
Wow.
yeah, $74,000 loan. And that there were apparently 3 people working for this company.
Huh.
Yeah. You probably don't have 3 people working for you right now then.
When we did it was just me.
All right, here's what else is interesting about all of this. The database tells me whoever did this, whoever revived these businesses, put down 3 employees for each entity when they applied for these loans. So supposedly, behind the door of Suite 3600, there should be 99 employees crammed in there working who should have received this COVID relief help. And again, the total amount here we're talking about is $2.3 million. This is taxpayer money. This is money that you worked hard for, and the government took out of your check to give to other people. So who is this Greg Folk guy? His name is all over these business licenses. Where is this guy? I tried finding him. I looked all over, the public record for him. Eventually, I caught up with his wife in a parking lot in Douglas County. She told me that Greg Folk died in November of 2020 from complications of COVID. This would have been several months after the loans were approved.
Are you aware of any of this?
No.
You're not aware of any of this?
He was really sick all of 2020.
He was really sick of all of 20? Okay. So I could see starting in about like May and June and July, all of these businesses that were old were being renewed through the Secretary of State's office with his name on the business licensing.
I have no idea.
And money was coming in through these businesses. Yeah, I'm sorry to catch you off guard like this.
I just don't know anything about it.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about potentially up to $2 million worth of taxpayer money here that may have been funneled through these businesses. Yeah, and I'm sorry about your loss. I'm really sorry about your loss with Greg. He was your husband?
Yeah, for 31 years.
I'm terribly sorry, and I'm sorry to do this right now.
I just don't have any answers for you. Okay. I'm sorry.
She told us that she was completely oblivious to the scheme and said her husband was way too sick to do any of this paperwork. She speculates an enemy of his possibly used his identity to revive these businesses and get all of that money. And so that's where we are. So some big questions here. Where's the money? Nobody knows, but it's clear that the money did not go to real employees. Is anybody else investigating this? I wish I had subpoena power because I would then be able to go look at the bank accounts and see the transactions and see where the money went. I don't. It would take a criminal investigator with subpoena power to go to the banks and take a look at that information. I can say that I've spoken to federal investigators about this case. They've seen our findings, and I can say that they are very, very interested in what we found. So let's see if they will and are able to find what happened to that $2.3 million. Thanks for following along.